First and foremost, I just want to thank everybody out there for watching these videos. The story I'm going to share today actually came from somebody that watched a YouTube video that I did on second homes. So here's the deal. I'm going to walk through the numbers because I think the numbers tell the story. This person that reached out saw a video. He was getting ready to purchase a home in Connecticut, and he was looking for a second home. Now, he's a real estate agent, so he already has some kind of intel about second homes versus investment properties. And for his particular situation, he was very focused on the second home property classification. Well, what does that even mean? First, let's chunk it down. From a lending standpoint, you're going to tell the lender what your intention is with the property. So if you're going to live in it, it's going to be considered a primary residence or an owner-occupied type of scenario, which is going to dictate the type of loan, the down payment, the interest rates that you would get. In this case, he was going to use this as a vacation rental. And this is key, which is why that video that he saw actually had him reach out. But in his case, he wanted to do a minimum down payment type of loan. And he was thinking he wanted to do a second home property classification. But he'd already been pre-qualified with another lender. And what I know about second homes that a lot of lenders don't share, including the lender he already spoke with, was that there is a rider that accompanies the deed, the security instrument, the final loan documents that a borrower signs when they purchase a second home. And that rider specifically dictates what you can do with the property. Well, he was not aware of this. And what it says specifically is that it's going to require that the property remain under the owner's control. And so in short-term rental situations, that's not always the case. When you are getting a management company involved, which he wanted to have a management company actually manage the property. And his intention was to use it a couple times a year as a second home. But the majority of the time, he was going to have a management company do short-term rental management for the property. And he was like, his mind is blown because like, what? I've talked to all these different lenders and nobody's mentioned this to me. That's right. Nobody has mentioned to you. And here's the deal. It's not that they're trying to be deceptive in most cases. It's not. It's just awareness, because what I want to make sure that we don't do is lead somebody down this journey and then they're at the closing table and maybe we as the lender misunderstood or they misunderstood or maybe we just didn't have a conversation around this. So whenever we have people that are purchasing homes as a second home, we dive in deep up front in that initial conversation so we can help educate and explain that, hey, a second home property classification may not be the best for you because what you're sharing with me, you want to have a property manager manage the second home. So in that case, let's move over to a lower down payment investment property. So here's the math. And I know I get excited, right? But here's the math. So in this scenario, I showed him a 10% down second home. And based on the day that we were pricing this, interest rate was like 7 3/4. Interest rates on second homes and investment property are higher than on primary residences, which would account for the higher rate. If you're sitting here going, a rate in the 7s, yeah, a rate in the 7s, at least based on this point in time. The second scenario, though, is a 15% down investment property, and it's at the same rate. So yes, for another 5% down, it gave him complete flexibility with what to do with the property and when to do it. That same rider doesn't exist on an investment property. So there's no anybody dictating whether it can be a short-term rental, whether he can have a property manager manage the rental, whether it can be a long-term rental on an investment property. It is open game. As an investor, you can do what you want with the property and however you want it. So his mind was just kind of blown of like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know this existed. And then over in the third column, we showed a 20% down on an investment property, and that's where the interest rate break was. So the goal here is to show you the math to make sure that if you're considering a second home, that you're thinking through what are you going to do with it. And maybe out of the gate, it's really just going to be a second home and your intention is to maybe do some short-term rentals, but you're going to manage it and stay in control over the property. That's the key. And in my next video, it's automatically going to tee up. I'm going to dive deep into the actual rider. And this is a conforming loan rider. So doesn't matter which lender you use. If you're purchasing a second home, this rider is going to be part of your closing document package, and you're going to have to sign it in order to obtain that loan on a Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac conforming conventional loan. Okay, as we move through this, and I just kind of planted the seed on the extra 5% down, doing that 15% down investment property to give him complete flexibility. I was like, winner! So I share these stories with you because these are the types of conversations that we have here at the Kelly Zitlow Group. If you have questions, you're thinking about purchasing a second home or an investment property, you want to run through how the math works, we can prepare one of these specifically for you based on your scenario. So just reach out. It can be a brief chat, 480-725-0150. And don't forget, stay tuned. That next video is going to dive deep into the writer for second homes is going to play next.